Welcome back to another episode of Eight Queens Roundtable Show and Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Jacqueline Kaba-Harrison. As you know, Eight Queens Roundtable Show has been around since 2016, and I have, done a lot of different things. But what has remained consistent is that I spotlight other women in business. And I have another entrepreneur that's backstage I'm going to bring on in just a moment. This particular episode is titled A Queen's Spotlight. And again, we're going to dive into who she is, who she serves, and just her business in general. And also to let you know if she has any upcoming events or how you can follow her, how you can, reach out to her and possibly, form a collaboration. Again, it's all I'm really, for those of you that have been following me for a while now, know that I am huge on collaboration. So if you are an entrepreneur and you are interested in being the guest on the show, then just reach out to me at realizing your potential. The number is 123 at gmail.com, or follow me on Facebook or on LinkedIn under either Realizing Your Potential 123 or Dr. Jacqueline Kaba-Harrison. All right, so let me go ahead and tell you a little bit about my next guest. So Miss Angelica G Miller is my next guest. Are you ready to step up? Are you ready to step up and shine in your career, business, and as a mom? Meet Angelica G Miller, the CEO of AGM Coaching and Virtual Services. With over 20 years of experience in corporate America and as a fellow mom, she truly understands your challenges. She supports women entrepreneurs like you through collaboration and clear communication. Let Angelica lead you towards resilience, determination, and growth. Don't let anything hold you back. Let Angelica assist you in turning obstacles into opportunities through her life and business coaching services. Start this empowering journey with her today. So, Miss Angelica G Miller, we're going to bring her to the stage.
Hello.
Welcome, Miss Angelica. How are you
Hello.
this evening?
I'm well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, you are most welcome. I'm excited to have you here. I can't wait to, hear a little bit more. I know I just only read a brief bio, but just kind of fill us in. Let us know a little bit more about what you do, how long you've been in business, where you're based at.
I've been in business for 6 years now. That's so weird to say that. And mind you, I started my business while I was still working full time in corporate America. A lot of us do that. We have to do that. And I believe is something, if you are not financially set to just full blown, take the big jump, you should keep that 9 to 5 and work that 9 to 5 while you're creating something amazing for your community. So during those times at work, I worked with mainly the VPs and senior leadership of a Fortune 500 company, and watching them women versus the men in the organization, and seeing how um, you had these amazing women, but certain things were holding them back from truly showing up in their full potential. And I kept getting friends asking me to help them do certain things within their business. So I, finally, the light bulb went off, and I said, you know what? I should just start my own virtual assistant services and helping entrepreneurs, but specifically helping women entrepreneurs take that. Um, Take their creativity plus also blend in some of that corporate information that they need to help them truly succeed in what they're doing. So that has always been my passion, is to help women amplify their voice, to serve the people that they love to serve in their community. But with doing that, I found that there were certain pieces that were missing, that you didn't have structure. So I wound up becoming certified as an online business manager and also becoming certified as a life and business coach in the process of all of this. So my main platform and the voice that I love to serve are women who are moms and entrepreneurs, because there's a totally different struggle along with being a mom. And then I also found within working with mom entrepreneurs, I found a lot of grandmothers who thought they were just going to that retired were going to just work on their own business, but then it shifted because life happens and they found that they had to start raising their grandchildren. So it was a totally different dynamic there too. And I find, there are new moms and then there are the middle moms, which I'm at, but I also find I will soon one day be a grandmother. And what if, we all have these challenges? Some are the same, but some are different. But helping them continue to find their voice and helping them continue to reach for the things that they've wanted to reach for even before they had children, not to stop. You can do it alongside of having a family. um, Nobody's dream should stop just because you have a family. You still should be going towards what you want. And my company, I'm all online, based out of Michigan. I do have a couple of consultants I do work with periodically in my business when there are larger projects to be handled. Um, so I have also brought on interns at times to work the business. And I'm really in that phase of my coaching and virtual services where I really love the coaching side, because I find there are so many women who have imposter syndrome, or still working through fear, or just all those negative thoughts that come up when you're trying to start something new, or even someone who's been in the business for years and might be making millions or whatnot. They still have that imposter syndrome come up when they're trying to start something new. So um, it's not nothing new, but I think we always feel it's just us. So that's why I feel I love what I do for women and entrepreneurs in my community. And I am located in the Metro Detroit area.
Okay. And you said you're virtual, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So let me
Yeah.
let me let me just say this. When you mentioned about, a particular individual, the kids are grown and they think that they're getting ready to rock and roll, and
Mhm.
and they end up, it's a whole other story, and they end up having to raise another kid, or
Right.
raise their grandchildren. Let me just tell you, my heart skipped a beat when you said and it's
Um,
like, for me, I have one, and I
uh-huh.
had him at 40. So it's like everybody that's my age now, their kids are, they're like maybe just becoming grandmothers and
Right.
things of that nature.
Hmm.
So I'm like, listen, my son is 13. I'm already like, listen, let's get you ready. We got to get you independent so you can get up out of here.
It's a
Woo!
lot, but I'm just going to let you know my son is 22. It does not stop. It does not stop. I'm just like, and I was talking, I have friends who have older kids that are kind of in my son age bracket, and they're still like, I thought it was going to end once they turn 18. And it's
No,
just a
they won.
different, it's
They actually
just a
won.
phase. Just, and I know I hate to say this, but COVID for my son and for a lot of kids, COVID really did a job on our children during that time period. The shift, his life totally stopped, you know, that his generation already didn't like talk face to face. They were always, through the Xbox or through their phones, so they had that lack of structure there. So when COVID hit, I just felt like my son and so many other children's life stopped and pivoted, that they're just getting back the momentum that they need. Just like anybody else, there were times where I felt during that COVID period is just like, and I'm an introvert. I can be by myself and be perfectly happy. But that human connection, that daily interaction with people that you had when I was at my 9 to 5 totally made me even more introverted. That I want to just, if it's just me, my husband, and son, I'm good. I don't need nothing else. I'm good. But yeah, so it doesn't stop, but just takes on a different energy. It's a different energy.
So I need to just slow my roll, huh?
Yep. And because even the best of them that are just really independent and on their own, they're still going to have those struggles where they come back to you for the advice and help, or you're just sitting there kind of watching, like, okay, I'm not going to say nothing, but
Okay.
you're still going to find that, and it does personal and business life, which I know blend together a lot.
Mhm. Yeah.
you know, Blend together a lot. Think of those moments when your son was younger and he's in school and all of a sudden something happened. Your whole day shifts.
Oh, that, yeah. Or like, because I'm a therapist
Hmm.
and I'm a social worker, I'm working as an outpatient therapist now.
Uh-huh.
And when I'm in a session and that phone lights up and I see my son's school's name, I'm like,
Hmm.
I'm sorry, this is my son's
Yep.
school. Give me just 1 second.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. That's what moms do. Everything. I don't care if I'm in a meeting. It's like, hey, I got to go. Can we come back to this at a
Mhm.
different time? Or I
Yeah.
can meet, a little bit later. But
Mhm.
my family does come first, and I
Mhm.
always, um, that's one thing I cherish the most out of life is my family, and being able to be there for them and making sure I do set those boundaries up for this is work time and this is my family time.
Mhm. So let me kind of piggyback on that. Well, a couple of things was thinking about. So one, why entrepreneurship? Because it's much easier, and let's see if you agree with me. It's much easier to go somewhere, put your time in, and at the end of the day, at the end of the week, you know what I mean? So why entrepreneurship? And then two, before I forget, it sounds like, and tell me if this is what I'm hearing, that you really enjoy working with women and you
Hmm.
have found that there is a lot of imposter syndrome.
Hmm.
And the way I describe that, I don't know. I'm hearing a noise. I don't know. Is that me? Let me turn
I
my.
don't, yeah, I don't hear anything.
No, okay, I hear it.
Mm-mm.
Um, and for me, working with women, I have found that like Black African American women in particular are the highest educated individuals within the United States. I don't know about everywhere else, but within the United States. And I have found that I don't care how much education you have, you got 2.5 kids, a dog, a cat, you're married, you're at the highest, corporate level job. It's like when you
Hmm.
start, it's like an onion, when you start to peel it, you begin to see that imposter syndrome, or that there's still some, a lot of self-doubt. So I
Hmm.
know for me, that's something I've experienced myself, and I've also seen it and helped a lot of other women through that. So I know for me, that is a huge why for me. So my question is, what, just you can go whatever, however you want to take it, but what are your thoughts on that?
I find, like, for me, my imposter syndrome kicked in from childhood trauma.
Mm,
So I've had certain things happen in my childhood that to me as an adult still creeps in. Someone could say something, or it could be something, and I find it creeps in when I'm getting ready to take this major leap on something.
mm,
But and I realize that it's going to be something that's probably going to be there until the day I'm no longer on this earth. So I had to figure out a way to work around it. And I'm not perfect at it, but I know when those triggers come up, I I make sure I have certain things in plan that keeps me moving forward. And yeah, there might be one day that I take a total sabbatical from stuff, but I learned. One time I took about 6 months just because imposter syndrome kicked in. And then when I started to get back into the cycle, I was like, man, I'm 6 months behind. If I would have just kept doing something a little bit every day, it didn't have to be major, just something a little bit every day, I'd have been 6 months ahead of where I'm at now. And I find that the higher you go, especially in corporate America, the more that imposter syndrome settles in, especially for women, because they see you still have your family you have to take care of. You're still trying to prove your worth. You're still trying to make your mark in an industry that's still predominantly white male. And I came from a Fortune 500 company where if I looked at the main org structure of the corporation, it was still 90% men. Although the company was really doing the work at amplifying more women in that structure. So I do have to give them kudos on that. But it took a long time to get to that mark. And, and if you're a mom, and how we were just discussing, if that light showed up on your phone and it was for your son's school, you're like, in corporate America, you have these C-suite men who have wives at home that usually are there taking care of the household, taking care of the kids, because they make enough money to handle everything at the house, where you don't need the second income. And then you have these wonderful women executives who, if something happens to their kids, they're feeling bad because they got to stop what they're doing to go take care of the kids. But in their heart, that's what they know they want to do. They don't want to have to worry about. But there's all the pressures that go on when you become VPs and COOs and CEOs of major corporations. So unless you're really grounded in who you are and your ability, and really relying on your team to help you through, I still and even then I still would see it creep in. Those private conversations we would have around closed doors in the office, some amazing women, but it would still creep in. I still find that although they're a public figure, being able to get in front of a room and speak, they're still nervous up until the time they get on that stage. And maybe there are some butterflies until about 5 minutes in, but it's there. But one thing that they do so beautifully is they just push through. They keep going. They don't let it stop it. It's there. It's kind of like that, the good person and the bad person on one side. You just kind of just have to take a deep breath, breathe, and keep pushing through, because, the doors will continue to open for you at that point.
This has come up in other conversations, especially in the Born to Lead docuseries that I do. But for some reason, women, like if they're reading a resume or a job description, and there's like 10 things on there, and maybe they only meet, I don't know, 4 of the qualifications or 5 of the qualifications. It's like, oh, I don't know if I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's the self-doubt piece.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas oftentimes men will see that, they just kind of breeze right on by there and be like, whatever, I know I'm the man for the job.
Right. Yep. And I love that part of them that they have, that ability to just say, I'm just going to try anyways.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because look, and then this is another thing too about men. Like if I had to ask men out, like the way women or the way men would typically in the past ask women out, I don't think I would have dated anybody.
I'd have been alone. Been alone, because that is just, I'm one of those, when you go to, like, networking events or
Mhm.
workshops, I get there at least a half hour early so I can get
Okay.
settled in, get my spot,
Okay.
and get comfort, get my
Okay.
comfort zone. So then when the floodgates start opening, I'm comfortable, I'm ready, I can start doing
Mm.
it. And that's one of the things I do working through fear and imposter syndrome.
Mm.
I
Okay.
find if there's somewhere I need to be, I
Mhm.
get there way early so I can get a feel
Okay.
for everything and get
Right.
myself settled in. I
Right.
don't like coming in 10, 15 minutes late because I feel like, okay, everything was already already happening and then I'm trying to catch up. So
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, so I'm really, that's one of the tips I do for myself is to
Okay.
make sure I'm there early, half hour, 15 minutes at the
Mhm.
latest early
Yeah.
before everything starts.
Okay. Yeah, I know a lot of individuals like you that do that. And it's like for me, it's not that I don't want to get there and get settled, but
Uh-huh.
I think it's kind of that ADHD that just takes over and I can never get out on time. If I'm
Hmm.
supposed to leave at 11, it's easy 11:15, 11:20 by the time
Okay.
I'm leaving.
Okay. Uh-huh.
So yeah, I'm that one. I'm running in at the last minute, catch my breath and excuse me. Can I see, is anybody taking that seat? You know what I mean? Some people be like, lady, sit down somewhere. You stand up in the back. That's probably what they want to tell me.
Oh, that's
But
funny.
yeah, so okay. All right. So okay, so you help women online. Um, what would you say has been one of the biggest well, either one or the other, either a biggest obstacle that you've had or a huge mistake that you made that you learned a lot from in your business?
Biggest obstacle and probably a mistake at the same time is when you're an entrepreneur, you can't do it alone.
Mm,
And you have these great ideas, but sometimes you need someone with a view higher than you to look and listen to what you're saying
mhm,
to help you navigate. So the biggest mistake and obstacle I had early on was not working with a coach.
okay.
Coaches are amazing, business coaches. Um, I've worked with financial coaches, I've worked with business coaches, marketing coaches. I find I work with a coach, at least two coaches every year in
Okay.
different forms. It could be personal, it could
Mm,
be business, but
okay.
I'm working with coaches every year. And their insight into things, coaches are consultants too, because I kind of like the blend. Um, but I found early on I was so in that silo by myself, not, I've got these ideas. And normally a lot of times when you're an entrepreneur, it's just you. Other people don't understand your vision. You could tell a friend or a family member and they just don't get it. And it's not up to them to get because it was a gift given to you to pursue. But when I remember getting my first business coach, oh my gosh, the light bulbs just went off. The things that they were, questions that they were asking me to dig deeper, that and to make me be more creative than and not play small, because I can play small. They helped me not play small. They helped me open up. And I will never go a year without a coach for that reason. And I've had some, and all my coaches have been women. I work better with women. And I've worked with some phenomenal women coaches um, for the past 6 years. And like this year, I think I'm working with two again.
Okay.
Two again. Before our call, I had a coaching call with my life coach at the time, trying to just work through some things with this new journey I'm taking in my business, and that imposter syndrome set in.
Hmm.
And I just needed them to kind of visually help me new business venture,
Hmm.
new avenue, a new pivot I was taking my business in. And
Okay.
I came off of that call after 30 minutes, and I just felt wonderful. Like she asked me questions that I didn't think about that
Hmm.
really helped me dig a little bit deeper
Okay.
and to think about my niche and my customer a lot better.
Okay.
Because when you're on your own, it's easy for me to do that for someone else, but when it comes to yourself, it's kind of sometimes
Mhm.
harder
Okay.
to get past the roadblocks that you have. So that I
Okay.
think that would be the biggest mistake that I've made, is not getting
Mm.
working with coaches sooner in my journey. I didn't start working with coaches until 2020.
Okay. And you know what? And a big important piece is that you mentioned multiple coaches and kind of ongoing. You
Hmm.
know, and I think that often, not all the time, but oftentimes we may feel that I don't know if it's pride or I don't know, but you know, why do I really need to work with the coach? But I think once you work with it, and then some people have had bad experiences
Right.
that I've talked to, but
Hmm.
when you get a coach and they know their stuff and they're a good coach, like you
Hmm.
said, all these light bulbs go off, and you think like, oh my God, I
Right.
could have been, getting this type of, instruction all along. And
Hmm.
also too, like you say, you as you hit different parts in your business,
Hmm.
you might need different people
Right.
you
Yeah.
know and one of the things and I don't know, I listen to a lot of seminars and different people talk. I can't remember who said this, but one of the coaches talked about when you bring people on your team, they don't need to be people with the same strengths as you.
Right. No, that's
You
so
know what I
true.
mean? If you think
That's
about
so
it,
true.
you're right.
Hmm.
It's like,
Hmm.
because, like I like talking to people, and like making people feel comfortable and things of that nature. So it's like if I'm looking for someone else, even though I'm vibing with someone and,
Hmm.
we're really having a good time, good conversation, that doesn't necessarily mean that person is good for my team.
Right.
You
Right.
know what I mean? I
Mm,
need to
yep.
look at
Hmm.
people more strategically in
Yep.
terms of, okay, well, you know what? She's really on point in terms of, what do you call that? Like the flow, like setup, structure,
Right.
systems, let's just say.
Hmm.
Some
Yes.
people are better at closing the sale.
Right.
So just different things of that nature. At least that's kind of what queued off in my
Yeah.
head
Yeah,
when
no,
you
I
talking about
truly believe in what you just said, because I'm
it.
not a salesperson. So that's one
Mhm.
thing I'm looking for, is someone
Right.
who's comfortable. And that doesn't say that I'm not training and learning how to do it
Mhm.
so I can understand what they're talking to me about.
Mhm.
But I really would want someone on my team who has the love for it.
Mhm.
I don't have the love for sales. I know I need sales to keep my business
Right.
going, but that's
Right.
not what I love to do.
Mhm.
I love graphic design. I love talking to people, getting those stories,
Yeah.
digging all that good stuff out.
Mhm.
Sales is not me. I can do marketing, but marketing is not really what I love to do. So having people on the team who love to do that,
Yeah.
that collaborate well with you, I think
Mhm.
is so, so key.
Yeah. And then you could learn from them and they can learn from you.
Yep. Yep. That's
So
true.
and like you said, learning is ongoing.
It's ongoing. It never ends, and it should never end, because as long as you're reading,
Mhm.
um, you're listening to workshops, more creative ideas are going to come for you.
Mhm.
As soon as you stop doing that, that's when those creative juices stop for you.
Right.
You don't, you're not as creative in what you're doing. So just follow, and I follow a lot of things that sometimes don't even have to deal with what I do to get creative ideas.
Okay.
I'm in the coaching, um, virtual service field, but I will find that I look at this one person who creates candles on YouTube, but she has
Mhm.
some amazing business ideas, and she's
Okay.
creating candles. She has nothing to do with what I do, but I find that I learn a lot from her that
Okay.
helps me get creative in my sphere
Hmm.
of genius.
Okay. So her creativity
Hmm.
inspires you to be more creative and kind of think outside the box.
Mhm. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And I find that I do that a lot. It could be someone making candles.
Mhm.
I found cooking is one of those other things, but it, I love people who have stories behind their cooking, because it brings up different ideas that I can share. Or
Mhm.
photographers, I follow them because it brings up different things, techniques that I can use to share within my community. So I don't feel like you have to just, everything has to be about whatever that one thing you're great at. also check other things, other people out in different areas to help you become more creative in what you're pursuing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let me kind of segue into, what do you do for self-care? I know, it's important to have that balance. And I know that that's something I'm always talking to other women about. So, like, do you kind of run into that in terms of
Um,
people not really practicing it? And what do
all
you
the time. That is so weird in my coaching practice. I find that is like the number one thing that I zoom in on right away,
mm,
because before we even get to the nitty gritty of everything, it's just like, okay, tell me about you. What's going on in your life? How do you decompress? Um, One thing I find, I'm I make sure I have my self care. I make sure I start work when I say I'm going to start, and my work ends when it's going to end, and my computer is shut down, off, and put away. And then it's me and my family, me doing whatever I want to do, going get Medi Panties. Sitting out today was just, I wanted to just sit outside and just enjoy the beautiful weather that we were having. It seems like it's getting darker, but just sitting outside, being able to just sit there and try to think. I had a little monkey mind going on today, but still, I was able to sit outside for an hour, just
mm,
doing nothing but sitting
okay,
there, watching the
okay,
birds, watching the butterflies go by. But I'm a big, you have to have self care.
right,
Me, I think you have to have self care built in every day, even if it's only 15 minutes,
hmm,
half hour. You have enough time to do it. I'm like, I've been with the kids and husbands and stuff, and I find, but you have to find that right time that's for you. So for
hmm,
me, I do a lot of my self care first thing in the morning before the family gets up. I'm usually up 2 hours before everybody else. That way
okay,
I can get on the treadmill. I can do my morning routine of reading, reading the Bible or reading something that's spiritual, listen to something on a podcast that will help me be more creative or inspire me. If I got read something, if I'm working on like a blog post or something, reading something that will help me be more creative in that aspect and have better information to share. But I do self care every morning.
okay,
That's one thing I do. I can't start my day looking at my phone, looking
mhm.
at the computer. My sister-in-law, they know I get up early. She sent me something real early, but I didn't answer her for 2 hours. I was like, I'm sorry. I was in my self-care mode. Just because people know I'm up early doesn't mean it's time for you
Mhm,
to jump in. And that's another thing. You have to set boundaries with
mhm.
your family, with your work, with if you're still in a 9 to 5 with your bosses, you have to set boundaries and say no. No
Right.
is such an amazing word, but we get so scared of it because we feel like we're hurting other people's feelings, but they're hurting yours because you're not being able to be your true self.
Right.
But I do find self-care to me is a daily thing for me, and I have self-care in the evenings. My family knows, don't call me past 8 o'clock
Okay.
because I'm getting myself geared up to go to bed and start the day all over. So I have certain boundaries, and I'm not mean about it, but they've learned over the years that okay, she really ain't gonna pick up the phone.
I was gonna say, look, you can show you better, you can show them better, you can tell them, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You call if you want to.
yeah. Unless so, if it's a urgent, like emergency, you better text
Right.
me,
Right.
and then I'll pick up the phone. But other than that, I just I feel setting up those boundaries are so important. And I kind of talk about that in a blog post on my website that I did in April. But,
Mm,
that trap of overcommitment, the precept of burnout, and the blur of work life boundaries are something I think we all should really take a look at because that's when I think we start feeling overwhelmed. And I think
mhm,
that's also for me, that's when imposter syndrome comes in because I'm burnt out. I can't think straight
right,
and I'm overwhelmed. And then I was like, well, I can't do this. So just setting those self care is very important and setting boundaries as very important to me.
I think a lot of people, when they think of self care, they think of like setting boundaries, with work,
Hmm.
but that also extends to friends, family,
Hmm.
kids,
Yes.
spouses, you
Hmm.
know, um,
Yes.
yeah. So
Yep.
and
It's
sometimes people may not like it,
yep.
or it's just, and especially like if you're kind of going from a what do they call it, like maybe a recovering people pleaser, let's just say,
Yes.
it's going to take people a minute to get used to
Mm-hmm.
this new
Yep.
you, if you will, and sometimes
Yep.
they may be resistant,
Hmm.
but that's okay.
That's okay. Just show them love and kindness, but still stick to those boundaries. It's just
Hmm.
like, I can't do this here, but here's
Hmm.
another time I can do it. I always give people
Options.
options.
Yep.
Like, sorry, I can't do it here this time, but
Yep.
here's when I can. Which one
Right.
would you like to take?
Uh-huh.
Which time? you know. And it came up this past weekend. The, f- on a Saturday, I had my Saturday planned of what I was going to
Hmm.
do. I was going to self care, and then I was going to paint my hallway. And then the family's like, "Oh, let's go to dinner," but they decided at the last minute. I was like, "Nope," and they really thought I was going to show up, but I said no because I had what I wanted to do, and it was important to me to get it done because then I was going to be that much behind
Right.
come a few months later,
Right.
and I just said, I love you, but I can't
Hmm.
do that this weekend because it was a last minute thing. And
Hmm.
sometimes last minute things are great, but a lot of times we complain about we don't have enough time to do this, but we let all these unexpected
Hmm.
things take our time away. And
Hmm.
that's another thing I feel we really need to take when they come in. Is this going to get you closer to your goal, or is
Hmm.
this just a nice have?
Hmm.
Or can that be something planned for another time?
Right. And just kind of thinking about that right there, sometimes we get so involved with all of these distractions,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah,
know, and that's life,
that's life. Yeah.
but you have to figure out a way to do that, handle it, and be able to come back to what you were working on, your
Right.
main
Mm.
purpose, or your main goals, because
Yes.
there's always going to be a lot of distractions.
A
you
lot of
know Moving
distractions.
along the path and something happened, and now it's like I kind of have to gear up and go a whole different direction,
Mm-hmm.
about something, a fire that I have to put out. But that's okay. I'm going to put that fire out, and
Yep.
I'm going to go right back over here to piggyback, or to finish up what I was doing previously.
Yep. And
you
I love that you said fires because everything's not a fire.
know
So people got to realize that when it's truly
Mhm.
serious fire, yeah, take that time.
Right.
But it's just, you had a plan to, I don't know, write that blog, and your girlfriend calls and say, "Hey, let's go get a drink."
Right.
Well,
Hmm. Hmm.
that's not that important. It's like, hey, I can't go right now, but once again, here's some opportunities that I have. And it could be in the same day, but you need to get that writing project started
Hmm.
and geared to for the next thing. But I do believe we all pivot on certain things, but a lot, at least I realized for me, a lot of things that I was pivoting on was for other people just
Hmm.
socializing stuff.
Okay.
And it's just like, and then I have all these projects at home and work things that I want to get done that were being put on the back burner, which
Hmm.
then was making me feel some kind of way. So I really had to take a step back a few weeks ago and says I can, I'm very good at setting boundaries, but um, sometimes you let them creep in anyways. But you really have to take a look, and especially, I mean, you mentioned goals, and goals are so important, and you need to be looking at your goals every single week,
Right.
scheduling your really looking at them. Like for me, it's on a Sunday. I look over my goals to help me schedule what I'm going to be doing the next week.
Mm.
And then that way, when those unexpected things come in, if you truly have time for them or if you don't.
Right. Right. Well, sometimes just thinking about just life in general,
Hmm.
there's different things that people are doing, and you just kind of sometimes you feel like you're missing out, or that you want to
Hmm.
be a part of it. And I have to just kind of like, in my quiet time, just think again, like what you just said, Angelica, like, is this something that I want to focus on right now?
Mhm.
You know
Right.
what I mean? Because everybody's at a different stage. I
Mhm.
have a lot of girlfriends that are in the phase of their life where they're traveling, and every month they're going someplace,
Right.
whereas for me, my focus is not traveling right now. Other than my son, my focus is, creating this structure, infrastructure of my business
Right.
so I can leave something to my son.
Mhm.
You,
Right.
you know, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And
Yeah.
so it's like my focus is a little different. So and sometimes it just takes me a minute to, 'cause sometimes you get caught up in that moment. Oh girl, let's go on this cruise, or let's go do this, or let's go do that. And I do have to sometimes I'm able to do it, and sometimes I'm like, no, that's too much of a distraction. I really
Mhm.
kind of need to focus on this right now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Mhm.
the only way I'm able to do that is, like you said, I have to keep reviewing my goals and reminding myself, okay, what is it you're focused on right now? Oh, and one other point too. Another thing I think too with that makes that challenging is like social media, you know,
Mhm.
and you get on there and you see that so and so over here, just published a book. This person over here just started their own publishing company,
Mhm.
you know, and I know for me, sometimes I look at that and it makes me think like, oh, well, maybe I should be doing that, or maybe that's something I should look into, or maybe I slept on that too long, that
Right.
kind of thing. So that's also something else that can just kind of ping you in all these different directions.
Right. Yep.
So sometimes it's like I'll get caught up in it, every now and again, and then I'll have to kind of disconnect,
Yep.
back and think about, okay, what are you doing? What are your goals? And what's important to me,
Right.
important for me to achieve.
Yep. Because social media can mess us all up at some point in time. That's a big area where red flag for imposter syndrome, because you're looking at
Mhm.
this influencer that's doing something that you want to do, but really, how long have they been doing it? Where they're at, probably at a different stage. They took the
Yeah.
time to build that foundation, and now they're here. But you're
Mhm.
just starting. You can't get there. That is something to inspire to, but you got to look at where you're at in your life and your stage, and make your goals that can fit your lifestyle, not
Mhm.
theirs, because they
Right.
might have a huge team behind them working on it, and you're a solopreneur right now.
Mhm. Yep.
So you got to build up to that. So you can't make yourself go crazy and feeling overwhelmed because you're trying to do something
Mhm.
that someone else is doing that has a huge team behind
Mhm.
them. But it took
Yeah,
them time to get there.
and I think that's a big thing too, Angelica.
Mhm.
And then after this, we'll kind of curtail it a little bit more, but I think that's a huge thing in a sense of, because I've done it. I've talked to
Mhm.
other people and I know they've done it.
Mhm.
And you're right, you have to be mindful of that
Yeah.
because, sometimes you might think like, oh, well, I need to do all these lives.
Right.
Oh, then I need to be on TikTok. I need to be, doing these nice videos. Oh, then I
Mhm.
need to go over here and get these professional, photos. I need to post 2 or 3 times a day. I need to be on 2 or 3 different platforms. And I need to respond to the people who responded to my posts, right? Oh, I need to be emailing my list. You know what I mean? And you're right. For someone that has a team, and especially if you're working full time or if you have
Mhm.
children,
Oh, yeah.
other things that are pulling on your time,
Yep.
you're right. And sometimes that you can be looking at that and thinking, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, or and you sitting there trying to juggle all of these balls, which all of
Mhm.
those things are important and they are vital.
Right.
However, you just one person.
Right. Yep.
And you can't be comparing yourself with someone who, like you said, probably has a team,
Mhm. Yep.
doing that. One person just doing posts, one
Mhm.
person just doing their email list,
Right. Yep. So
you
it
know.
does take, and people will get there, but
Mhm.
just realize, look at your circumstance, look at your life right
Mhm.
now. Stop, don't look at theirs. Look at theirs for an inspiration, like, oh, one day I'm gonna be able to do that. But realistically, look at what can you do in
Mhm.
an 8 to 12 hour day while still taking care of you, taking care of your family,
Yeah.
and having peace of mind. Peace of
Yeah.
mind is more important to me than posting on all these social media posts.
Right.
I I always tell my clients, pick one platform, work that
Mhm.
platform like magic, and then if you feel you have the bandwidth to go to a
Right.
different platform, then
Mhm.
you go. But if you know
Right.
you don't have the bandwidth, just because it's the hot item today,
Right.
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, because I mean, 'cause some people, they're everywhere, and I
Right.
had to tell myself that, but like people, if you see that they're really successful on YouTube,
Hmm.
then 9 times out of 10, they've been doing it for a minute. They understand the algorithms. They know how to make the shorts and how to get more people to click on their content. It's a whole art to it. You're not
Right.
just gonna pop in there and just woo, okay, overnight. I know everything about YouTube. You know
Right.
what I mean? And then some people work Instagram,
Hmm.
and that's okay. But like you said, to really focus in on one particular platform, and once you kind of got that or got that situated, you feel like you wanna focus in on another platform that you think your ideal client is, then go ahead and do that. But don't feel
Right.
like you have to. Because I remember at one point I was spreading myself so thin in terms of I had these different Facebook groups I was posting on, LinkedIn, things on YouTube, Facebook, I was all Instagram. I was all over the place. But then finally, I just was like, I just couldn't do it.
Mhm. Yep.
Do it
And
anymore.
just so I settle. I'm on two platforms, but my main one is LinkedIn, and then I
Mhm.
will really most of the time I duplicate what I'm putting on LinkedIn and Facebook. I'm just
Oh
like
yeah.
just to keep
Mhm.
my presence there. Um, but yeah, I learned I'm not one to do a lot of video, and this is for me personally. For clients, of course, we do all the
Mhm.
different things, but for me personally, and it might be just the era I grew up in. I'm very private. And I
Mhm.
feel when I have something to say, I will say it. But I don't feel like I got something to say every single day.
Right. You're not on there like, oh, what do you think of this new hat?
Right. Yeah. No. No. You will never see me doing anything like that. For me personally, because that's not my comfort zone to
Right,
do
yeah.
that. My
And I
comfort.
know I
Yeah.
know a lot of coaches, they'll, say, and every coach is different,
Different.
some of them say you gotta be online, you gotta do lives and things of that nature. But
Hmm.
the thing of it is, I'm a big advocate for I believe in stretching yourself, but then again, at the same time, I don't believe that you have to totally do something that's completely outside of your comfort
Right.
zone
Yeah.
every time like that. You know what I mean? Because it's not gonna
Right.
come natural for you. It's not gonna
Mhm.
flow because it's not your thing.
And there are workarounds. I'll create videos that
Mhm.
don't have me in them, but it still has the essence of me. Um,
Okay.
you know, um, I'll do it that way. It's just short, maybe 60-second videos or something, and
Mhm,
post those that way.
mhm,
But I'm not. For me, I'm truly a behind the scenes person, and I know a lot of social media managers will be like, "Oh no," but that's me personally. This is
right.
what I decided to do for my business that makes me feel comfortable
Mhm,
because I love working, getting clients organically. I love just that natural process. I wound up getting more clients through word of mouth, which I love. Um, but I, I really like organic um, relationships because they seem to last longer for me. Um, I Clients I work with, we end up being friends by the end. We're working 3 years together, and we have that friendship, that business side, but we still have that
mhm,
that we built a friendship side to it, and that's one thing I love about my business and working with the women that I work with because I have that, and that's how I remember my first job back in the day, it just felt like a family.
mm,
And that's so important to me
mhm,
with people that I work with, that we feel like a family, that anything that you say can come up, and there's not any judgment on it. We're just going to work through to try to figure out what that's all about and help you get to where you eventually want to be.
Yeah. I like that model as well because, like you said, I think you can actually form
Hmm.
lasting relationships.
Right. Yeah.
So to me, that's what it's all about. And people buy from people that they know, like, and trust. Just in
Hmm.
general,
It
you know,
just, yep, that's
just
so
in general.
true. Yep.
So let's go ahead and wrap up for this particular episode of a Queen Spotlight. So Angelica, go ahead and let everyone know exactly where they can find you, and if you have, I don't know, anything coming up, yeah, any upcoming events, or I don't know if you're an author too, or just
Yeah.
whatever you want to leave the audience with.
Okay. Yeah, the audience can find me at all my platforms are Angelica G Miller. So my website, angelicagmiller.com. LinkedIn is Angelica G Miller, and Facebook is under Angelica G Miller. So
Okay.
those are the three areas that they can find me. I normally do a weekly newsletter. So if you sign up for my newsletter, you'll get some key tips every week for that. I am actually an author, and I don't talk about it a lot. I'm an author. I'm a number one international bestseller for 2 books. I wind up working with this wonderful platform, Women Speakers Association, and I never thought I would want to be a writer. It just never was in my DNA to think about it. But the founder, Gail Watson, she's just an amazing woman, and her and I were talking. She's like, "You have an amazing story." So I'm in 2 books. Here's one of them actually. Is Voices of the 21st Century, and this one is called Women Empowered Through Passion and Purpose, and it's a collaboration. I think this one is 45 stories inside, and I have this one is from this year. Uh,
Who's the visionary?
Visionary Gail Watson. She's
Oh,
the
Gail Watson.
founder and
Okay.
CEO of Women Speakers Association, and a
Okay.
wonderful platform.
Familiar.
I was a global business connector for them for the Metro Detroit area, and they're just getting ready. So this book came out February of this year, and we became a number one bestseller. We have one from last year. I forgot the title on that one. It's also a Voices of 21st Century, but we always have the subtitle.
Hmm.
That was my first book for 2023. Just an amazing. I remember one of my goals that I wrote years ago was to be able to reach women globally. Didn't know how I was going to do it, but it was just something I felt I was going to reach women globally.
Hmm.
And it's amazing how God does things. You don't know how it's going to happen, but it happens somehow on its own. And it was through Women Speakers Association because we're in 120 different countries.
Hmm.
So our book went global, and I connect all the time with amazing women globally
Hmm.
because they're at your fingertips.
Right. Yeah.
And these are women who want to collaborate, who want to hear about your story, who want to uplift you. So yeah, so I did have a book. And then I also, before we end, we talked about imposter syndrome quite a bit today. And there's this wonderful book that has a workbook in it, and it's called Own Your Greatness. It's Overcome Imposter Syndrome, Beat Self-Doubt, and Succeed in Life. This is a really good book. I got it off of Amazon, but it's just one tip I just wanted to leave with your community is that
Mhm.
I have I don't get anything off this book. It's just something that I'm reading
Okay.
that I've really been enjoying. That I think, especially as women entrepreneurs, when that self doubt and everything comes up, this can kind of help you, give you a blueprint of what you should be looking for. So it's
Okay.
no plug for me. I just wanted to leave that tip for your audience.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's good. I mean, thanks for sharing that. And it's called Own Your Greatness.
Yes, own your
Okay.
greatness. Yep. So
Okay.
it's a wonderful book, but I really enjoyed myself being here with you. I love talking to women where it's just this organic chat, like we're having coffee or something, sitting across the table from each other. it's just has been really uplifting and empowering. So I thank you for that. I don't have any events coming up. I really didn't do anything for the latter part of this year because I was doing this pivot in my business and I wanted to make sure everything was coming together. But for 2025, I can't believe I'm saying 2025
I
already.
know.
I'll be putting together a retreat for women. So that will be something that's coming up in 2025, and more I'll start populating on my website for that.
Okay. Wow. Do you happen to know where it's going to be, the destination? Or
There's this amazing um, Black owned, it's woman Black owned. It's called Salamander. It's in the Maryland area.
okay.
And she opened this resort, and it's just absolutely amazing. It's a place that's kind of away from stuff, but
Uh,
it's like 5-star. And it's just, you can do a lot of team building. They have different programs there where you can do team building, but you can have your spas and your private little villa type area. So
yes.
that's why I think I want to have it there
Okay.
next year just to get it started and
Okay.
to allow women to pamper themselves while they're working on their goals and trying
Mhm.
to figure out what is their next step in their journey, personally and professionally. But
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, that sounds nice. Wow. That sounds really nice. Well, it has been a pleasure having you on, Angelica. And I really enjoyed the conversation and learning more about you and your business, and that we're both here in Michigan. Can you all
Yeah,
believe that? I mean,
that's
I'm telling you, so many people I interview, only maybe a handful of people ever in Michigan. Most
uh-huh.
people are in, like, they're either in New York, they're in DC, they're in Virginia, Georgia,
See,
Texas. Very rarely do I come across someone that's in Michigan.
right.
So,
And
but that's
close, not too far
right.
away from each
Yeah,
other in
that's far away. We're about like
Right,
50 minutes away from the coast.
right. Yes.
So, you know what? Let's do this. If you hear of an event that you're going to that, promotes, business owners, an opportunity for networking, keep, what am I trying to say? Keep me in
I
the loop
definitely
or
will.
reach out to me and vice versa.
Yes.
Because that's something I have to start doing more, is becoming more involved in things that are going on in the community, especially other, women's businesses, black
Yeah.
owned businesses in general.
Yes. Have you
You
been
know,
to Bass Blue yet?
say it again.
Bass Blue is the women's organization downtown, kind of a smaller version of the DAC, but
Hmm.
it's a house in downtown Detroit area that is specifically geared towards women, entrepreneurship. They do some amazing workshops. It's just,
Hmm.
you and I can talk about this offline, but
Okay.
I would love to invite you to bring
Yeah.
you in just so you can see it
Hmm.
and take a look. But it's just a wonderful place that really it's all about uplifting women and
Like,
getting them to their next part of their journey. But
okay,
it's called Bass
definitely.
Blue. Yes.
Okay, definitely. Okay. Well, ladies and gents, or mainly ladies, I know, if you want to reach out to Angelica, please do so, collaborate, um, hire her as your coach or consultant. And, definitely make sure that you subscribe to the Eight Queens Roundtable YouTube channel if you have not done so already. That way you'll get and make sure you turn your alerts on. I have to say that part. That way you'll know whenever we're going live. And I have a lot of new upcoming events to share with you. So you definitely want to be plugged in. If you don't follow me on Facebook, then make sure you do so at either under my name, Dr. Jacqueline Kaba-Harrison, or Realizing Your Potential 123. And that way you can always stay up to date. So thank you, Angelica Miller. We will definitely be talking again soon. Looking forward to that. And thank
Thank
you
you.
again for being a guest on the show.
Thank you for having me, and you have a wonderful evening.
All right, you too. All
Thank
right,
you.
everyone. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon, Angelica.
Bye.
So, again, ladies, if you are interested in being a guest on the show, then make sure you reach out to me and let me know. You can either join us for the A Queen Spotlight or the Born to Lead docu-series. But make sure you reach out to me and let's have a conversation and let's get it started. All right, take care and until next time.